Welcome back everyone to the Beginner's Guide to Factorio episode number 4. So in the last episode, we established our main bus. I had cut it off here, but I just extended it off camera just because we will be moving it forward in this episode anyway, and that's not something that's pretty trivial to do, so a lot of the trivial things I'm trying to do off camera to save us a little bit of time. Then we set up red science production. That's probably the main thing we did last episode, was get all the ratios between red science and the red labs. I don't know, I forgot how much we talked about the ratio between 5 and 6 between red and green, which meant that we would need, if we have red at 10, we'll need 12 for the green science, and we'll get to that maybe in this episode. That might be next episode, because actually at this point, having covered that, what we did in the last episode, this episode is going to be about securing ourselves. We need a little bit of military and possibly a couple of gun turrets in order to secure ourselves, because with all this pollution, basically right now we have almost no pollution because I've stabilized things. This game has been running in order for me to collect, a lot of gear wheels off camera, which we'll get a few more of, and even electronic circuit we've been getting off camera. Just accruing all those things takes a lot of time, and during that whole time, the whole system has come to a pause because we aren't doing any research, so essentially there's no input being used anywhere. Everything is completely saturated and turned off. So our pollution is really low, and we don't have any threat of being attacked by biters in this kind of state. However, the moment we get anything running, and I do want to get to military in this episode, like I said, as soon as we do the research even for military, we're going to pick everything back up, and that's going to emit a lot of pollution, and we're at high risk for a biter attack with this big of a facility. As soon as this whole thing gets cranking, we're probably going to encounter a lot of biters attacking us. So there's two things we want to do. One, we want to properly defend ourselves. In order to do that, I want to get military 2. Even though we don't have green science production set up, even getting green science production will probably trigger an attack. So what I did off camera, and what I recommend you do, is just manually produce the 20 science packs. I built 10 off camera, I guess. Just build the 20 science packs needed for the military 2 production, and we'll just drop those in manually, just by ourselves. So we'll go do that right now. I guess I'll probably build a few more of these off camera as well. Just give my inventory something to do. I like to keep it going. So let's just go ahead and start putting one in each one of these. I also off camera did extend the labs from the 10 functional ones. I guess I had 12 down, but I extended it all the way to 20. One. I'm doing this because in parallel it runs faster, but you can see the work is already finished over here, so I can just drop these in as they appear. Got another one. We'll just wait. We'll wait this out. What I can do is explain this like ghost town type look. That's the blueprint mode by holding shift. So I did lay out green science production. I also laid out green circuit production, because that is something we're going to want to do later. Okay, it looks like science labs are the beakers are done being produced, so we'll get these. And that should be enough to give us military 2, which is all I want. I'm going to keep research turned off again after that. Actually, before I do that, I want to get armor. We only have light armor. I recommend you skip light armor. It does have a good benefit, but it's so much better just to get the second tier, which is armor crafting 2. We get this heavy armor, and this just has such better protection. And what do you do if you don't have, if you already have light armor produced, you only have one armor spot. So you just end up junking the light armor in the same way we had to junk our pistol in some wooden chest. We'd be doing that with the light armor because heavy armor is much more effective. Now, in order to get heavy armor, we're going to need to get steel production going, so we'll do that next. Just on the side, I did move, this copper production was originally splitting here, and the raw copper ore was coming up this line here. The profile, the left-right profile of this top left copper smelting, was just much bigger than it needed to be. So I went ahead and trimmed it down, so we moved up this way instead. Just so you're not confused, that's an addition I also did off camera. But I just did that to reduce the profile of that smelting. Okay, good. So we have armor crafting done, and in order to deter any future biter attacks, I haven't actually had any yet, but we're right on the edge, I'm sure. I'm going to turn off research. Now, what do we want to do here? We want to come down with okay, I guess we'll do something like this. have it go underground there. Okay. Perfect. So we're going to have it underground. The iron is going to be pumped off the line here, and it's going to come down, and then it's going to split. Now, I think we're also going to have another item of iron coming down, which is going to feed a second steel smelting area down here. I've kind of experimented back and forth with just using one line and splitting it 4 ways to all 4, because although that works, it works fine to have raw iron ore, or raw copper ore split 2 ways. It does not work to split it 4 ways with these 10 per side, so 20 total stone furnaces. And it's definitely not enough as soon as we put steel furnaces here. The thing is, this takes, let's see, should tell us that this is 3 seconds to produce, but it doesn't. It's 3, crafting speed, you see directly on it. So crafting speed here is 1. Crafting speed of the steel furnace is 2. That doesn't tell us what I want though. Let's put this in. It doesn't tell us our result. Okay, let me just put single wood in. No, it doesn't tell us our result. I'm pretty sure that this is 3 seconds to make and it's 6 seconds to make. No, it might even be worse. We could do the math. Maybe it's 5 seconds. In any case, what I'm trying to say is the amount of time it takes to make 1 steel is more, I think it's more than double what it takes to make 1 copper or 1 iron plate. So you probably could split 1 line of iron off for 2 smelting centers. But just to play things safe, and because it doesn't really matter that we do it this way, if it happens to not use iron as fast, that just means more is left on our main line. So I'm going to run this down as well. We're going to do this in the opposite manner. We're going to only split it here. And then it's going to hopefully jump past that. And then it'll also need to jump past over here. Perfect. Okay, good. So we'll have 1 line coming out this way. We can split like this. We'll have it over here. Need to connect that. And we'll have this running down here. After there's coal loaded on one side and iron plate laid on the other. Because iron plate is how you make steel. You get your iron plate, 5 of them, needed for 1 single steel plate. And then we just in the fire. Then we have this side going up and in. So now what we want to do is get 2 things of iron off the main bus. And you could just do 2 individual ferries like I do here, but since this is a special case, I actually like to do a split in a little bit more of a special way. I think, okay, let's see what's the distance? So I need it here. 4 in between, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I want it here then. I think that's where I want it. And this doesn't have to be here, actually, it can be here. It does waste 1 single transport belt. If we don't, we could extend this all the way down here, but just for aesthetics, because it looks nice if they both come out on the same side, I'm going to just lose 1 transport belt. This only jumps 3, it could jump 4, but I'm not going to push it 1 further. It's fine. Now, what do we want to do with this? We want to split here. So we're going to merge here as we always do before our splits, same style. Now we're going to split off the top as we always do, which is technically splitting partly off the bottom, partly off the top. But we're also going to do another split here. What this is going to do is take off the bottom. So for our 2 lines, this is like, I think the best way of doing it. You can split half off the top, half off the bottom. So we really are sure that we're doing an even split here. So this one also comes up, goes left, and goes down. Great, now we have 2 things of iron coming off, and that will help us to get 2 segments of steel. I won't do the bottom thing of steel, I'll do that off camera, but that's our steel production. Now we have the iron going, but we need the coal. Well, I'm just going to split this here. Coal is used at such a low rate that it's absolutely fine for us to continuously split this line off over and over again. So we'll do it this way, and turn this way, go underground. The same thing here. I probably, for aesthetics, should just leave it here. I don't know if it makes a big difference. Actually, I think I'll just do this one to the max because it will come up perfect. Yeah. There we go. So now our coal is coming up. It's going to split over here. And what I tried to do, although we didn't succeed amazingly, is leave a little bit of a corridor here for probably this is, I mean, it's just barely enough for a train to squeeze by right here if we absolutely had to. But at least it's enough space for a car to drive. Now, because these are both going in the same direction, up and up, it wouldn't affect the car. But actually, these do act as against the car. So if you drive a car with like, if you have a transport belt going one way on this side and going the other way on the other side, if you drove the car on this, the car would want to spin to the left because it'd be accelerating on the right side of the vehicle if you were going right to left, and it'd be decelerating on the bottom left side of the vehicle. Anyways, that's just a fun little tidbit about Factorio physics. So everything is set up here. All we need is power. And I already laid out the power grids because, again, this is the same template we've already been using. All we need to do is get power over here. And we can do that just by stealing the power from here. Voila. Now everything is done. This should be producing steel. Steel does produce rather slowly, as we see. Rather slowly compared to, if I just quickly trim some of this, we can see how fast this goes. Much, much faster. I would say at least twice as fast. So, okay, but steel's done. That's one of the main things we wanted to accomplish. Now the output is going to be first combined with the output of a second one because this is so slow that even one group of 10 is not enough to saturate. Which makes sense. If one group of 10 here is barely enough to saturate a line here, then certainly 10 being produced half as quickly, I mean 20, I should say this is 10 per, I usually talk about things per side because I like symmetry. So when I say 10, I mean it's 10 per side, which is 20. Because I don't usually do things which have an uneven amount per side. It's kind of easier to talk about it on just how many it has per side. But there it goes. The steel is it's being output. Now I want to jump this. Whoops. I want to jump this across the line. Take it up here. And this is where our military production is going to go. So as we already kind of pointed out, the piercing rounds require 1 steel and 5 copper. So a lot of copper plate. But we do need steel, so we're just going to dump the same way we've done this before. We're going to dump each element onto one side of the belt. This should be now something very familiar for us after doing it with red science. Just note this is going to limit our input of copper. We need 5 times as much copper. So some people might advise using 2 belt lines, one for steel, one for copper, just so you can get and put the copper close with a blue inserter or something, I don't know. Just so you can get enough copper. But I've found that you can get 8 things of gray assembly machine 1, that is, assembling machines. You can get 8 such things producing. Okay, we need half these to go. No. I'll go up. And don't ignore that. Then the output, we want some of them to go down, some of them to go up. I think we'll pause it right here. At some point, we may try to switch this with red belt just to get more copper to these things faster. And we'll just do something, I'll show what this is for later. But for now, we'll just put that down. Or maybe it's already self-explanatory that I want to actually put this into a chest. Get these down. So now we're moving on to military production. And the 2 things I like to do with military production is get radar out. We need radar to be able to see where the enemy bases are. We can see that we definitely have a lot of pollution going out. Steel production is, even just steel production is causing that to happen. And we want to take a little bit of steel for ourselves because now that we have heavy armor, we just needed 50 plates. I grabbed 51. That happened to be coincidentally perfect. We're going to make heavy armor, and that's going to go right over here. Now, we already made the 4 radars. No, we made 3. Let's get a 4th. Radars are very quick to make. You just need 5 electronic circuit, 5 gear wheels, and then 10 iron plate. And I don't know why, but just by some convention, which I established a long time ago, I always put these next to my... sorry, I think I do it this way. I always put these next to my, my coal boilers. I think it looks, and I always get 4. I don't know why. This is just something I've been doing for a long time. This is not as much logic to it as just how I like to do things. So I put my 4 radars down here. The good news is this wall of boilers does act as a wall against biter incursions. They seem to not like the radar very much. Now the radar is really important for our ability to defend ourselves. Not only does it allow us to be offensive, which is, the best defense. We just go and eliminate the close by biter bases so that pollution won't bother them because they're dead. That sounds pretty heartless, but it's the truth. Other than that, we can also use the radar just to determine where the attacks might be coming from, which is important. Then we can orient our turrets, which we haven't researched yet, but we will have eventually. We can get our research on turrets, our deployment of turrets in the right area. So I'm going to go ahead and set this for that. We need to go ahead and grab some copper from here. Split. Take us up. And voila. So now we'll have copper coming in on this side. Steel's already coming up on this side. It does seem like almost a waste of steel to have so much sitting, waiting, but that's okay. At some point, when this all catches up, it won't be a big deal anymore. Once this is completely saturated, which it almost is on the right-hand side, no more steel will be wasted queuing up for that. So it's like an initial investment. You can consider that like a startup cost, getting the line saturated. All right, so military is actually, it's not done because we don't have power. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but power is one of the things I like to take down my main bus as well. I like to use the big electric poles and just run power, because that is, just as much as copper or iron, it's one of the essential ingredients for everything. So we'll get this going. And we need this to connect to power somewhere. Normally okay, so let's just do it like this. No, I'm not going to put it here, actually. I want to make this so that it's... this is a nice avenue for moving north and south. So let's do it this way. It just happens to be exactly not perfect. Now, I'm just going to run this as far as it'll go. Of course, it had to stop there. Of course it would. And, well, let's just keep going, I guess. And we can reorient this in a better way later, or if I get my main big electric poles going down the main bus, which I like to do, then we can eventually just delete all this minor pole production. But it is done. The last thing we need is actually we need 2, so this requires 5 copper and 1 steel. However, it does take 3 seconds to make. So if we use 2 normal inserters, it is actually enough for us to get the required inputs. Just barely allows us to tick over. And we only need 1 output, obviously, because this is going to be pretty slow at 3 seconds apiece. And that's 3 seconds if you do it yourself. Remember, these gray ones have a crafting speed of 0.5, so they actually do it in 6 seconds. Now I have these things kind of stacking up here. What I'm going to do is put power line here. I'm going to put this there's wooden chest that I made earlier down here. And then I'm only just going to grab 1 single fast inserter to take all this stuff into this chest for me. Good, now I have a little bit of ammunition myself, which is very helpful. So we have armor, the heavy armor is done, and although I'm going to shoot off these light rounds first, I'm going to use those first before I move on to my red piercing rounds. I guess they're piercing rounds versus just normal rounds. The piercing rounds being over twice as effective. We'll just blow through this on one of the first lighter raids, and then we'll go back to... this will automatically be loaded into our gun as soon as we use up all of our yellow ammo, which is good that we don't have to manually sit there in the middle of a fight and drag this over down here. It'll just be automatically loaded. Okay, good. So military is now actually done, and what you can see, I don't know if you can notice, but our radar is right now chirping away at the fog of war. Just merrily. If I can grab it. There it is. You can see sector scanning progress. One just finished. So we should in a second. There it is. We just got this one. And in another moment, we'll get another. There it is. Another blip down here. And then another one. And another one. So good. So our radar is just slowly going to reveal the map to us, which is great. And I think 4 is... maybe not that many, some people would use more, but I think 4 is sufficient because the more radars you have, the more pollution you create. So it's kind of nice to stick to a low number of radars in the beginning when the area you need to reveal is less. Like in order to go a little bit out in every direction, I should say the surface area to volume ratio is pretty good for us right now. Actually, it's not even a ratio, it's just the surface area. But as we continue to expand more of our vision, moving outside the circumference, not the circumference, but the perimeter of the geometric figure of what we have revealed, that just gets larger and larger. So the surface area of our two-dimensional object keeps growing as the volume increases. So that was probably very poorly worded, but whatever. You get the point. It takes longer and longer for more and more boxes make up the outside of our unrevealed area as we reveal more and more. So we've done steel. We've done military as much as I need it. Now we're well equipped to go kill a fighter base, which I probably won't do on this episode. We'll do on the next one. The last thing I'm going to try to squeeze in is green science production, which is actually kind of a challenging thing. We'll see if we can get it done. So I'm actually already going to stop this because I have a specific way I like these to be done, which is one right here, one right here. So now this can go, I see it's going to be perfectly not aligned. And I see, this is going to be just, oh, well, you know what? That works as well. So good, that actually saves us a lot of hassle. Let's pretend that that's there. And I think that this is okay as is. Yeah, okay, good. So what the idea is with green science, we already know the ratio is 10 to 12 in terms of total labs. And I have my 12 green science assembly machines. Those are going to be these 6 per side that you see up here. The things that we need are inserters and transport belts. Now, transport belts actually require assembly machines too. So I'm going to actually go ahead and create a whole bunch of those now because we're going to need them. Then I'll create a few more gray assembly machines because those are a product, an ingredient for the blue assembly machines. So every time I use one of these, you can see that goes down from 12 to 11, from 11 to 10, because it's used as an ingredient. So every time I make a few of these, I need to make a few more of these to have any of those left. Good, so I'm going to use blue science down here because if we're using blue science with one, it keeps the ratios really easy to remember if we use blue science for everything else that's connected to that one. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually just going to use blue science for the transport belt as well. I don't need to. So these two alone will be my transport belt, and everything else you see in this line is going to be just make the inserters. So inserters are, yeah, pretty complicated. Now I also can make, I want to make a little bit of transport belt for myself. Ooh, we see on the map this little clump of red, that is our first spider base. So we can probably go kill those in the next episode. Okay, so I'm just putting down the assembly machines. I'll get all the transport belt running the way it should in a moment. So like this. And this was going to be our copper input here. And I don't need that one. Oh, we'll need iron input, which is going to be here. It's going to split. Okay, so it's going to split here. This is going to go up like that. Probably what I should do first is just actually put what each of these is so you can start to see the flow of things. Electronic circuit requires iron and copper cable, but it requires 3 copper cable. So in order to get this kind of weird number, what I'm going to do is make 2 of it from one assembly machine and 1 of it from another assembly machine, which means that each one of these is going to require 1.5 copper wire production. And that's the exact ratio we want to fulfill it, because copper cable makes 2 per half second. So in other words, it makes, yeah, well, let's just leave it 2 per half second. Electronic circuit needs 3 cable per half second. So if we make 2 per half second here, and then 2 more per half second here, one of these can go here, and one of them can go to the other one. That means this will be our circuit. So 3 of these is perfect for the ratio of 2 there. And then this is producing circuits every 0.5 seconds, which is what we need for our inserter production. Now, inserters also need, this is why we need blue assembly machines, because this requires 3 inputs. The maximum number of inputs that you can use for a assembly machine 1, you can see down here it says craft items that require up to 2 ingredients. But the blue, now up top right here, says craft items that require up to 4 ingredients. So the 4 ingredients is what we need to use because we have 3. So let's go ahead and do the rest of these. We need one, which is going to be gears. This gear goes to this. This gear goes to this. This gear actually goes to this assembly machine here. And I have the formation a little bit stacked up tight just to conserve a little bit of space. Now I'm also going to be building transport belt here. This inserter, which we're making, and this transport belt, which we're making, is not going to be related to green science production. This is just going to give me a personal cache, because inserters and transport belt are two things that the user is going to be using a lot of. And I probably could have done this with steel chests, but we'll just make wooden chests. The reason why I like those so much is once you're done with them, you can actually burn them. So we can actually use them as fuel in our furnace, which means that you don't have to destroy them when you want to get rid of them. Ooh, a big biter base down here. So we'll have to keep our eyes out on this west side. And you can see how far our pollution's going. I'm surprised actually that we haven't got attacked yet. And we'll have to be paying attention to the mini-map to see when we have a glimpse of red. Because with all the steel production that's going on and with the production of ammunition, which I have not capped, I'm just saying produce as much ammunition as you can. And I've left this output, by the way, as a future, like as a possible valve for where we want to, we may want to ferry this over to some turrets up here, who knows. I've just left it as a possible valve, and for now that little output just is taken over to here. Obviously if you're taking everything into a chest, you don't need a balanced belt. We don't have it right now, it's 3 and 5, but it's not necessary because we're just taking it into this. Might as well grab some more red ammo. We haven't used any yet, but just for the next episode or whatever. Alright, so let's continue with this. This is going to be our transport belt itself then. So shift right click, shift left click over here. Very good. Now that's going to be made, this one's going to be pumped out here. We're going to turn it. Our inserters are going to be pumped out here, and those are both going to go onto opposite sides of the line, which feed to our green science production. I'm using here the older, I guess, I don't know why it's kind of been phased out. Again, this is something I really don't know. I don't understand why using red inserters is so much less efficient, but for some reason I don't see it used very often. I'm still going to employ this old mechanic, if for no other reason than just to pretend it's to give the viewer, you guys, exposure to both methods. Normally I'm using stack on both sides, use yellow inserters, I've used that over here as well, and then put the output only to one other side. In this case I'm doing, put both transport belts in the middle and use yellow inserters to grab the close one or to put the close one on, and use red inserters, which have twice the range, to grab from the ones far away or to put on the belt that's far away. And we only have 10 of these, I'm going to need 12. The reason why I'm using, this is very important, although technically one inserter is produced, we need one inserter, and this is used up every 6 seconds, and since inserters are made every 0.5 seconds, that should be a total of 12 Science Pack 2s, which is exactly how many we are going to put down. So technically, if I used blue here, although I used gray here, which is going to make the ratio off anyway, if I used gray everywhere, let's pretend I could use gray inserters for my, gray assembly machines for my inserters. I can't, but if we pretended the craft speed was 0.5 for these, it would match the ratio perfectly, right? So these are made every 0.5 seconds. We need 12 of them to satisfy, and that's exactly how many we can make in 6 seconds it takes for, each green science thing to be made. So the ratio is perfect. 0.5 times 12 equals 6. However, I find, I don't know why, probably it's related to my using a red inserter down here instead of blue inserter, because I'm going to jump to over here as well as jumping to over here. I think that bottlenecks it a little bit, and I don't quite get enough inserters for the last 2 up here. Which is actually fine because I'm using blue inserters here and I'm going to be using gray inserters here. The production speed being a third slower, or alternatively you could say it's 50% faster than these. So I'll be producing supposedly 1.5 inserters for every 1 inserter I need. And that's good because I find that means we don't have any slowdown of the 12 gray science producing assembly machines that we're going to have. So let's get this going. And there. So what we're going to need is yellow to pick up or drop off from the closest. Okay, we're going to drop off here, drop off, drop off, drop off, drop off, and drop off here. Now we're going to use red to pick up from the far one, which is going to be our inputs. So pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up. Again, we need it spaced away from the middle towards here, which is where the power lines will be, because the power lines don't cover this far section here. You can see only covers right up to there. So we'll do that here. Same way we've always been doing this. This is going to be powered right away, which is great. Now the same thing we need to do. Oh, we missed one red inserter, I see. Got distracted. Okay, now the same thing over here. We're going to drop off with the red. So put those in the middle instead now. And we're going to pick up with the yellow close. Whoops, missed that last one because I got stuck on the transport belt. Very good. This is all done. We just need to make sure that this knows it's green science. Okay, good. Now the last thing we have to do is do our inputs for the actual inserter and transport belt production. Let's start by getting this done. Okay, wrap this up. And instead of leaving this, we're going to split. There it is. Now we need to start getting this stuff going on. This is going to put into there. This is going to put into there. We need to pick up 2. Do it this way. This also needs to pick up 1, which I don't remember where. I'll grab those in a second. This is going to pick up 2, but produce 1. So we'll do it here. It should be fine. And this is also going to need 1, because transport belt just needs 1 iron and 1 gear wheel. So per 5 seconds. We got the per 5 seconds done very easily with this fast inserter, and this will produce 1 gear wheel per 0.5 seconds, as long as we have 2 iron inputs every 0.5 seconds. So we're going to use 2 fast inserters to satisfy that. We're going to use fast inserter outputs just to make sure that that's not the bottleneck for getting our needed inputs to the green science production. Okay, now we're also going to use blue inserters here, but I can't remember exactly how I wanted to do it. I think I want to do it this way. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do pickup here. Let's get this one. Pick up like this. Pick up here. I'm going to drop off. I guess we can do it the other way. Let's drop off this way. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And then it seems to make sense. I'm just being a little bit particular about, okay, so I want this to go like this. How this is going to work for no good reason. I just wanted this wooden chest, instead of being here, to be here, because I like it, that'll be closer. This is going to drop off, so into this chest. That's where the extra inserters are going to go. So I just wanted it one closer to the left, which is usually where I'm running from, to pick up this. And I'll also have a chest right here, which will store all the transport belt that I can take. So mainly what we want is 1 blue to output into a chest, 1 red to input from the iron. That's what we need. Iron and then copper cable. So this is my input, this is my other input, and this blue is going to be my output. So in order to get enough copper cable, we need 2 here, 2 here. It's 1 for each of these, right? This is irrelevant. So now all we need to do is make sure we have enough copper coming down the line. And I'll do it this way, which means we just need copper here. So let's get copper here, which means split here. Voila. Go underground. And voila. So there's all the copper we need. That should now power our circuits. Our circuits are going to dump into these chests. And now all we need to do is grab from these chests into the inserter production. Now, we didn't get those powered yet, which is a problem. Let's solve that now. And this one requires like one right here. One right here. Very good. So is our whole thing done? We now have inserters and transport belt being dumped off. And now it'll take a moment for this to stabilize, but it doesn't look like we have enough production of inserters basically right now. And I think this might... No, this will definitely be fine. We'll eventually see a supply of inserters piling up. So that's good. That is a bad sign that we have been attacked. And while I wasn't paying attention, they have destroyed our power. Well, we should have expected something like this. They always go for these boilers. Alright, well, this is not too difficult to replace, thank God. We just need to... The problem is that we need power and blah, blah, blah. Okay, we need to fix this. It is time to retaliate. It's definitely time for us to get going on an offensive. We're gonna need how many? Uh-oh. Okay, that's the siren meaning we're attacked, but it's just relaying old news. Now we need how many boilers? I think we'll just get 8. How many do we need? I don't know. Let's find out if 6 is enough. I think that was perfect. With... Where is it? Ah, here. Perfect. Okay, now all we need to do is... we got enough power just from these boilers heating up the water a small amount. That's not perfect efficiency, but it's enough. So good, I wasn't paying attention to my minimap. I wasn't paying attention to this because the sound is pretty low on my machine so that I don't interrupt the recording. We'll just repair these things. And we're all good once again. So we will have to go after... Oh, looks like that's the culprit. So that's going to call this episode to a close. What an exciting conclusion and a good catalyst for our next thing, which is to go kill some biter bases. So what do? We got green science production going. As you can see, green science is now going online, and this should be producing at the same rate. We should be having green beakers produced at the same rate that they'll be consumed as the red ones. Oh god, not again. It didn't take very long for them to launch another attack, did it? So, that's probably going to call this episode to a close. I'll be trying to deal with this nasty little raid. Look at these guys. Determined little buggers. But thankfully they didn't do too much damage this time. Yeah, we really got to deal with them though. One more of these. Let's try this again. My goodness. So, before further ado, before we have another attack that sabotages everything once again, I'll put a close in this video. Yeah, what did we do? Just to once again recap, if I can, before being interrupted again. We first did our steel production. The same template as what we did for smelting before, but now we just have inputs for iron plate. Then we established our military for obvious reasons. We'll be attacked basically from now on until the end of the game. We should expect attacks periodically. And I didn't get set up yet turrets, which I like to put a few of. So maybe that'll be the first thing we do on the next episode. Now that we have the turret and military research done, I'll actually show what to do about setting that up. Then we did, so after military, that's when we actually got to green science production itself. And that took quite a while just to explain all the inner workings there. And I have kind of I'm not sure if this is the most common design, but this one works really well. It's great. We get definitely a solid 12 green science production out of this. And that is where we'll conclude from here. So next episode, stay tuned. We'll do 2 things. We'll set up our green circuit production, which is a must for the bus, in my opinion. And we'll also go and do some military stuff, which will be a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.